I'm not no Mount Rushmore, Seattle, New York nigga. I go with the times of America. If I get kicked out, I'm going to my harbor, going to my bank. I'm riding out one way or another. I don't get in other people's cars unless I get a bus ticket that might be in downtown. You have to find a way to make that bus ticket from downtown in the north without a train ride, you see? So you have to watch out for that train commute, because when you go down that train, it's a lot of white people. You never want to leave the security of the harbor, you see, because you could go down the train, but it's like if a movie is released like that, is very specific, you don't want to go to a certain place, because like you'll lose counsel of God. Like if God shows someone something and you try to ride your bike outside the hospital after a person been doing this for years and years, you don't want people to try to make a movie off of what doesn't relate to them, because the human structure of common belief is always the same. White people bus ride is different than a train ride to the harbor than from what my life was, not your funky ass, you see? So it's like you don't want to get on a bus going to from a public place. If there's a public transit, that's good, but you don't want to get to a private place using a public transit, because it will put emotions of public people who, not just identity theft, but people who never grew taller, people who were on SNAP milk aid and so development, you see? So it's like when I build my life, I can't be no person in chains of people trying to get government benefits because they don't want to get a reality of the Ponderosa. And when I would join the Air Force before the Navy Museum was a different time when things strike emotion in me of even architectural history, not architectural presence. You see, so if I look at an object, there's not a boundary around it from a modern coronavirus Mexican saying, I want to see in secret and identity theft people. There's a lot of history of years before that architectural construction idea was existing, and before that history. So all the beliefs in my life come from my real life. I will not be identity theft by no funky German nigga. I can say it to your face, get out of secret. You're not my peer. I don't know you. Get behind me, Satan. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So people will get offended and claim they were always existed when they got called a pussy, instead of people fearing them as a grown man, saying that the police were knocking on his door, drawing their guns in his house. But they'll say that they want to get a scene when I say, bitch, I'll call you a pussy. But when you got called, you claim you got called a pussy, but you claim that you try to lock someone in the hospital because you existed in secret. So at what point did the boy go through things when the window was broken in 2016? The harassment happened in 2013, but they say it's not true because he wanted to get married and not get identified with people who were sexed out, big man, historic man. He didn't want to get identity with them, but they'll say that a boy can't earn his keep because the Americans try to steal his identity, because they'll say that they wanted to be superior when he kept going to the YMCA, kept walking to the lake, when there was so much more life and emotion. But the courtroom tried to make him fear them because there was police officers trying to arrest him, drawing guns in his house. Big stories of Tom Clancy, Reese, Mission Impossible, Prison Break Reese. But they'll say it's not true because you claim you existed in secret when the coronavirus happened, but you claim that it was he didn't make a conspiracy theory, he just took action. So at what point did you claim you didn't exist and it's not true, but you claim you got called a pussy, but you drew a gun on someone at a time when you claim that the management, you claim he was hiding behind the wall, but you claim he called you a pussy, but you claim the doctor was trying to write about things that he didn't allow when he had to be skillful because you tried to lock him up in the hospital for the rest of his life, and or get the best of him when you claim that you weren't aware that people had HIV in the hospital, but you claim that you allowed them to try to harass people because you were a doctor, because you were full of hate for someone, but you claim you could leave secret and he won't Tyson your ass real quick, but because you can hide with the white people and claim you don't exist, trying to say he has psych, and he somehow you can just use mental illness records to say it doesn't matter, but somehow there was a coronavirus that tried to steal the boy's identity because he was playing his basketball when you got offended because you were a white funky foot crybaby.